So just to explain a couple of things where you guys who are a bit newer to the hobby might get a little bit confused. As with anything, it's really simple if you know what you're doing, but if you don't, it can be a real minefield. And I've seen some people try to bind both controllers to the same drone at the same time. That's not what you need to do. So what you do is you find your instructor radio, so whoever is the experienced pilot, we'll call them the instructor, and you bind that and you set up your switches on that. When you hand over the controls to the other controller, unless you set it up, you can give them the switches as well, but the easiest thing to do, in my opinion, is to not give them the switches and just give them the control surfaces. And then that way you are fully responsible for what's happening, rather than them worrying and thinking, should I disarm here and should I not? Should, you know, it just takes that extra level of worry away from them and leaves it with you, the experienced or instructor pilot. And it really is as simple as that. You obviously need the cable, but I'm sure I will have shown you that already in the studio. I don't know, because I've not recorded it at this moment in time. Yep. Of course, the other thing that you are going to need for this is 2 sets of goggles on the same frequency. We're doing it with analog to make it a little bit simpler, but you can use observer mode on digital. I would recommend that you do it on analog because of the latency and stuff on digital. It can be done on digital, of course it can. Again, the only prerequisite here is that both of them are on exactly the same channel that the drone's on. You won't get any interference if you're both on the same channel, and it won't cause any lag or latency effects either. And yeah, that's that bit. Let's move on to another bit in a bit.
So if I do throttle, yeah, I see the throttle thing going up when I raise. That's going to be a problem.
What's that?
Your telemetry is lost.
I'm just going to have a quick look at it.
So when I raise my throttle, it doesn't show the throttle going up. Can you see that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so let me just make sure you're on camera.
The exact same thing.
Right. So, Boy Wonder, raise the throttle.
Yeah, I'm raising
so it says 0. I'll raise the throttle and you can see. So I'm going to take off.
Okay. So I'm watching.
I've got full control now, and Boy Wonder FPV is watching on his goggles. Now, Boy Wonder, I'm going to press this button, get ready to take control now. So Boy Wonder has control now.
Yep.
And I cannot do anything with my sticks. What I can do though is I can do this and take control back, and now Boy Wonder has got no controls. Boy Wonder, I'm going to give you control back now.
Okay, as you see, I've got control.
Oh no, he's going to crash. I've taken control back.
Yeah.
And it's as literally as simple as that, guys. There is a very, very slight delay, but we are talking like, I don't know what the official delay time is, but it's milliseconds, it really is.
Every time you
get ready, I'm going to give you control now.
You see the throttle goes from 16 to 30. My throttle's just like chilling at 30.
So I'll tell you what, your throttle's at 20, so I'll put my throttle to 50, and I'm going to take control now. It is pretty much instant then,
every
actually.
Every time when you're like ready to swap, I'm keeping my throttle at 20.
Okay, take control. Get ready, I'm going to go upside down and give you control.
Okay, I'm going to go 0 throttle.
Control now. And it's as simple as that, guys. So if you've got a kid who's about to fly out of range or crash,
like I'm going to simulate that right now.
So, oh no, quick, turn around.
I'm just going down.
Just fly.
Oh.
Hang on.
I thought you wanted me to like...
I will. Just pretend you're flying out of range. Just pretend you're flying away from us. Okay, so, oh no, Boy Wonder's going to fly out of range. Turn around. Oh no, the kid's not listening. Take control and fly us back into range. Simple as that.
So do you want me to like simulate about to crash?
No, because if we get it wrong, I can't be bothered to walk.
Yeah. You can just have like your throttle at 100%.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Control is yours.
Instantly save it. I'm going to do a couple of tries.
Oh no! I thought you were going to crash it.
No.
Jesus Christ, lad!
I'm going...
Oh!
And then...
oh my God, the bird! Oh no! Quick, take control. Woo! Wait, is that bird following us?
Yeah!
Where is it?
Battery.
Yeah, that's alright.
Okay, where is
Come here, birdie bird.
Come here, pee-pee, poo-poo.
Oh no! Control is yours.
Oh no!
Oh no, it's going to crash. Quick, take control.
Yep.
And that's it. It really is as simple as that, guys.
We really need to do this with Little Wonder FPV, definitely.
We do, no, we do. Now we've tested it. We was going to bring Little Wonder FPV out today, but I wanted to test it, have control. But I wanted to test it with you guys.
So you
with Boy Wonder first. Oh, you're going to crash.
No, I'm not. You really made
have control. So yeah, I wanted to test it with Boy Wonder FPV first before we give it to Little Wonder, because he's a bit mental like me. So at least I know how quickly I can take control back. Wow. Right, come back to us, lad. But that's it, guys. It's as simple as that. So hopefully
I can't disarm it.
That's true.
Only the master controller can.
Yeah, there's a couple of things actually that I'll talk to you guys about in a second about what you need to do, because Boy Wonder's controller is actually running on ELRS 4.0, and this controller's running on ELRS 3. And we obviously know that they're not compatible.
Oh, signal break up.
We're all good. It's just a tree.
Yeah.
But
the tree trying to lose
he's getting control from my controller.
I'm trying to
so you don't have to both be bound. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Have it. So they both don't have to be bound. You just have to bind the instructor controller, if you like. But I'll explain that once we've landed in a second anyway. Oh no! Right, I'm going to land it because of the battery.
Yeah.
And that's it. It really is as simple as that, guys. If you've got any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments down below, but I'll see you in a second. Let's find out then exactly how we can get this trainer or buddy box system set up. Now, I've gone through some of the details of the documentation just to make sure that what I'm telling you is going to be all as factually correct as possible, to make it as simple and as straightforward as I can for you guys. As far as I'm aware from reading the manual and the documentation, you don't have to have both radios on the same version of EdgeTX. Let's get into it. Let's explain what we need. So first of all, you're going to need two radios. They can be from any manufacturer, but as mentioned just a second ago, they are both going to need to be running a version of EdgeTX. To keep it as simple as possible, I would probably have them both on roughly the same firmware release. If you run into any issues whereby this doesn't work, that might well be the problem. Although, like I say, I have checked the documentation and there isn't anything within that documentation that would support that it needs to be on the same firmware. The other thing you're going to need is a 3.5mm mono to 3.5mm mono cable. It can be as long as you want, doesn't matter. The longer, obviously, the further away you can stand from the person. But if you are going to be speaking to the student, if you like, you are going to want to be relatively close to them. This can be done with a Bluetooth connection, so you don't have to do it with a cable, my advice. However, you're flying something in the air, it could be potentially dangerous, especially if you're flying something relatively big or relatively fast. My advice would be to use a cable for safety reasons. If you're doing this on a fixed wing aircraft, then you've got loads of time to react because you're nice and high and you can switch it into GPS mode and put it into loiter mode, no problems. But I think for quads and for stuff like that, my advice is use the cable. Now, there are cables out there that are labelled as trainer cables. You don't need to get one of those. You just need to get a standard 3.5mm to 3.5mm mono audio cable. And I know that because the cable I'm using is an audio cable off Amazon. It cost me £2. It's not related in any way to the ones that are labelled as mono cables. Let me show you. You're going to need a cable that looks just like this. The difference between this and a stereo cable is you've only got 2 as opposed to 3 little indents in it. And if you've got a stereo cable, it will work, but you will have to shield one of them to make it into a mono cable. What you then do is you plug it into the radio at the top of each one of them, like this. And that is your physical connection between each other. And that's how long we've got it, because obviously we need to stand together to communicate. What we now need to do is set up a few different things on each one of the radios, and I'm just going to explain a couple of bits to you. It's going to get a little bit techie, but there's going to be a little bit of fun at the end of this video, or if not at the start of this video, depends where I've put it, where we actually demonstrate it and have a laugh at the field with Boy Wonder, so bear with us. Okay, so I do have it plugged in to the USB at the top. You don't need to do that. That's just because the battery in mine is going to die. What we need to do then is we need to open up our menu system and we need to go into our model settings. And in our model settings, we need to go to trainer. And once you're in that trainer, you've then got this screen. And this screen asks you what you want to do with this controller. Do you want this to be the one that the instructor or the master is controlling? Or do you want it to be the one that the student or the slave is controlling? And I'm going to be the master. This is going to be my controller. I'm going to fly this, but I wonder if PV is going to fly the other one. So this one is going to be the master. And that's all you need to do in that screen on this radio. So going back into the models, you then need to go to your special functions, which I can never remember which one it is, this one. And we need to assign a switch that we're going to use to give control and take control back from and to the other radio. And that can be any switch that you want it to be. I'm going to select special function 3. The trigger will be this one here in the down position, and the function will be trainer. And we're going to give control of the axes, and we're going to enable it. That's all we do in that screen. We can also go to the radio settings, and in the radio settings, we have got a screen all about the trainer. And you can change this, you can adjust this, etc., etc., etc. But ultimately, as long as your controllers are set up correctly for the drone in the first place, you don't need to touch any of this. And that brings me on to another quick point before we go on to the other controller. What I've noticed some people do is they will try and bind both controllers to this drone and try and get all the settings set up and everything be perfect. You don't need to do that. You only need to bind the master controller to this drone, because the slave is going to be using this but on a cable. So as long as this is set up with your switches and the right controls, it will translate over to that one. Now they can't, or the way I'm going to set it up, they can't disarm it and arm it and change things on theirs, because we're just going to give them controls of the axis. And I think that's the safest thing when you're handing the controls over to a kid. They just want to fly, or even somebody who's inexperienced. They just want to fly. Let's forget all about this changing modes and arming and disarming. That's your job as the instructor, if you like, to make sure that you know exactly when to arm and disarm, because sometimes a student or a new pilot will arm or disarm too early or even too late. So take that away from them, and that's your job. So to make the point about whether you need to be on the same version or not, this is on EdgeTX 2.10.6 Centurion, and the other one is on Queen Anne's Revenge. So you don't need to be on the same release, but you probably need to be on the same release version as opposed to the same actual release. So we're going to go into our model settings, and we're going to go into the trainer again. And once you're in here, you're going to turn this on, and this is going to be the slave, and we're doing it over the jack, so it's going to be slave jack. Okay, and that's it. You've done it. It's literally that simple. I was going to make some sort of comment and do something, but that's it. It's done. And I'm actually going to demonstrate just how straightforward it is. And just what, before we actually go to the field, or if we've been to the field, as it stands, this has absolutely no control over this drone whatsoever. I'm going to arm it. So I've armed it. And I'm going to take off with this one. Oh, but I can't, because I've got no controls. When I flick this switch, I've now got controls here. But if I flick this switch back, it goes back to my controls. Obviously the pin loop went a bit crazy there. And as you can see, because I've still got control on this controller, but if I do this, oh no, the student's panicking. So as the instructor, I'm just going to disarm it. And it really is as simple as that. Like I say, it's not necessarily known by a huge number of people. There are plenty of us that do know about it. And it is a really, really useful tool when you are teaching somebody who is inexperienced how to fly, because they don't have to panic about, oh, when do I need to disarm? When do I need to do this? You can control all those variables for them and just let them enjoy the flight. And I think it's such a great, great thing to do. And it's even good for more experienced people who are flying new types of craft. So you've got a friend that turns up to the field. He's never flown an 8S before. He's a bit worried that he might lose control of it at some point. You can do this as well. Just bear in mind, there is a very, very slight latency. In fact, if I raise a throttle, let me switch it over to this one. And if I raise a throttle, this is how long it takes to switch. So it's a millisecond at most. But obviously at 60 or 80 or 100 miles an hour, when you're facing down and headed to the ground, that millisecond comes at you really, really quickly. Okay, any questions whatsoever, please do just drop them in the comments down below. But I'm really glad to have shared this with you guys, because this is how I taught Boy Wonder FPV to fly, and it's how I'm going to teach his little brother how to fly as well. And I think it's such a great, safe little invention, and I wish more and more people knew about it. And hopefully this video will you know, get a few views. Share it with people who need it, or use it yourself. But the resource is now there. Any questions, any comments, drop them in the comments down below. I love chatting to you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. YouTube and I have had a chat, and we believe that this is the video that you'll like the most. So watch it and let me know if they're right.